Okay.
This is great, Catherine. You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, behind my beautiful picture, my Zambian, my little piece of Zambia that I like to carry with me.
Oh, you grew up in Zambia, right?
That's right. Yeah, born in
Yeah.
Ndola, so I'm a little Ndola girl from the back end of Zambia, but it's really where my heart sits. So.
Oh, love it. Well, we're going to start in a few seconds if you are tuning in. Some of us have had to deal with load shedding, and I know we've got people from all over the world that are tuned in. If you want to understand what load shedding is, it's basically when South Africans just don't have any electricity at all. And the government kind of has told us that, that's going to happen today. So some areas in South Africa have no electricity. So if you were part of that today, I'm so sorry. We've all made a plan because the show must go on, and this is going to be an incredible book launch. So it's absolutely worth it that you are here. If you're joining in, we'll just give peeps a few seconds to continue to stream on in. Oh, yay, we're already getting chats and comments coming in from Lauren. Oh, thanks so much. We're also excited. Fantastic.
So the one thing about this book launch is that in my house you could get cats or dogs joining us. So that's
That's brilliant. That makes it nice and organic and natural. That this is all
exactly.
about you and about your journey, and we want to know a little bit more about your personal life, and we want to know about your business life. So we're going to dig deep a little bit, which is going to be great.
Oh, yeah, with
Um,
pleasure.
Yay! And so many people joining in and super super excited. Thanks, Amos. Also, hi to you. So, Catherine, I will ask you a little bit about the title of your book. I have the book. I went to Exclusive Books today to go and get it,
Oh,
and I got to read it before. Fortunately, because I'm hosting, I got to read it before and as a PDF. But when I actually got my hands on the copy, I was just like, oh, now this feels great, and I can see the illustrations more clearly as well.
great,
So I'm
fantastic.
enjoying that, which I'm very, very
Good.
happy about. So
It's great. And as I said earlier, my daughter just messaged me to say her friend had bought the last one in exclusives here in Cavendish. So it seems as though already people are loving it, which is all I want.
yay. That's the game plan. You have done so much in your life, and I don't wanna get into it just yet. I'll wait for everyone to come and join in because I'm just itching to find out more about the book. And I've already actually pinned my favorite page.
Cool.
Got a question about that.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm going to quickly swat up so that I know what you're going to ask me.
Oh, brilliant. We'll give it another second, another minute,
Great.
just before we get started. Yeah, ETA about one more minute to start, says the gods upstairs. So we will do that in a bit. But please, if you've just joined us, welcome. This is going to be an awesome launch with the beautiful Katherine Weinberg and her new book, Sheep Will Never Rule the World, which we're going to find out a little bit more about.
Cool.
Yeah, so we just can't wait for it. And we're going to have a Q&A a little bit later, which is also going to be great. I'm sure everyone's got their questions that they want to ask, and I've got my own questions, but I'll ask you in my own time. This is an opportunity for you to get to know Catherine and you to know more about her as officially an author, which is going to be awesome.
Good. Looking forward to it. And fantastic to have, as I say, as you said, there's some people joining us from the States and from Europe. And it's just so wonderful. That's one of the beauties. So the pandemic has brought us unexpected blessings. And one of those has
Exactly.
to be that you can join us anywhere from anywhere in the world. They say they're fast asleep on Australia. That was their excuse. But it's just beautiful to be able to welcome anybody, anywhere. You just, as long as you got data and the internet.
Exactly. And you studied in Australia, and this is why you've got your Australian connection there.
That's right. Yeah, I studied in Brisbane. I actually loved it. You know, there's a story. I don't know if I'll just tell it to you. So
Yeah, please go ahead.
people often say to me, "Why did you go to Australia?" And it's actually it's a very simple thing. When I was very young, I was probably about 7. I was allowed for the first time to cut a picture out of a magazine for a natural, like a nature study, a little nature study project.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of a laughing kookaburra that I was my first picture I could cut out, and I cut it out and stuck it. And so for the next, whatever it was, 20 years, I just wanted to go to Australia to see laughing kookaburra. And so when the opportunity came, I just jumped for it. And yeah,
Oh
that's how
my
I ended
God.
up
I
there
know the
3 years.
song, the Kookaburra sits in the old
There you
brown
go.
sugar.
Yes.
All right, we're going to get started. You are just watching the behind the scenes between myself and Katherine Weinberg, serial entrepreneur, a journaling junkie, I see. Congratulations on your paragliding license.
Yeah.
Um, Mother and now author. So, just on behalf of Katherine Weinberg and, of course, our host, Exclusive Books, welcome to the launch of Sheep Will Never Rule the World. My name is Fix. I am your MC for this evening, and I've had such an awesome opportunity to chat to Katherine about the book before, obviously, today. And I'm a social entrepreneur, for those that don't know. I run an organization called the Fix Scholarship, where we give educational opportunities to women entrepreneurs in Africa. I'm also a radio DJ on 5FM between 12 and 3 on the Forbes and Fix show. And when I got this email about, hey, would you like to MC the book launch? I was like, absolutely. Like, I'm the typical person who will be in Exclusive Books looking for an entrepreneurial book to help me with my own organization. So I jumped at this opportunity, and I'm absolutely thankful, Katherine, that you've allowed me to chat to you more about this incredible piece of art that you have created. So without further ado, please welcome the beautiful Katherine Weinberg. Once again, a journaling junkie, mother, serial entrepreneur. She's done it all. I
Not
think
yet. I
not
haven't done
yet.
it all yet. I'm still just at the beginning. Wait.
I love it. And big thank you once again to Exclusive Books for making this happen. Katherine, I want to go straight in. The first thing I want to know is why call it Sheep Will Never Rule the World? What was the feeling behind that title for your debut book?
Yeah, thanks, Fix. So, in fact, one of the little stories in the book has that narrative: "Sheep will never rule the world," and essentially, it just means it's just reminding us that we have to be bold and we have to be leaders if we want to change the world. You're not going to change the world by being a follower. So it's really just about that thing of just get up and be the shepherd. So that's really the message: be strong, be the shepherd.
And you actually said this that this book is not only for entrepreneurs. What does that mean exactly?
So the book really is for anybody that wants to live their life to the full. I think that they kind of, you can have an entrepreneurial profile without necessarily being an entrepreneur. But an entrepreneur is somebody whose DNA makes them endlessly restless. You know, that they're always looking for more, they're always looking to be more, and they're always looking for new horizons. And so this is really a book that encourages people to go out and be more and to be the maximum of themselves. So, yeah.
And I mean, when you were writing this, you started off as the blog. It was a blog on the Fetola blog. You started writing it on the blog from Fetola, and Fetola is your company. What what motivated you to go? Actually, this blog should become a book. Was that the goal in the beginning, the whole time?
So no, let me tell you the blog, it's like what we call it is Catherine's Weekly Greeting. And I started that about 3 years ago, just really as a kind of a little pick me up, a little Monday pick me up for the entrepreneurs that we work with. Because what I found for myself is it doesn't matter if you're having a good day or a bad day, just one word, one thought can actually change the whole trajectory of the day and of the week. And so I started this thing every Monday really just thinking what's in my mind, what am I going through, what game changes are happening in my life, and I started to share it with the entrepreneurs in our kind of in our network, and the response has been amazing. 3 years later, every week I get dozens of mails saying, you know, you were right on the money. This is so fantastic. I was having a bad day. You've totally changed my day. And also a lot of people saying, listen, this is so great. Why don't you publish a book? And in the
Wow.
end, it just seemed like a great idea. And so we went back, and together with my team and the wonderful team at Quivertree, we selected 100 of the best of those, probably from the last 3 years. And the idea was just to really create, for me, I see it as this wonderful book that can sit next to my computer. In fact, it does sit next to my computer, to sit next to your computer, and whether just if you have a pause moment, just to say, let me find what the message is, and kind of open it and with the messages. And what I find is that the message always resonates, and that's it for me. It's just this little gift to try to help to give other people inspiration in their day, and make life better for all of us.
Well, this is the awesome thing about it. On the book itself, it says inspiration for life and business. And just as you're talking about, you wanted to share life and not just business. Can we talk about that a little bit? Let's talk about your life. Tell us a little bit more. What part of life, of your specific journey, is in this book?
So everything in that book is about my journey. I never write from a theoretical point of view. I kind of set myself this goal a few years ago. I feel I'm a living experiment. So I like to go through life and sense and look and see what's going around me and try to make sense of it. And so the book is really just that. It's just my interpretation of what's been happening to me, and when I think it's of interest to other people. What does it mean about life? I think life for me means this big experiment. It's this big exploration. You know, when I was a kid, I just wanted to be an explorer. And then I forgot about it. And I just thought, oh, well, you know, you're a kid, you want to be an explorer. So there's nowhere to explore. Everything's been explored. And then just the other day, I suddenly realized, oh my word, I am an explorer, and I am an explorer, and I'm an explorer of life, and I'm an explorer of feelings and experiences, and understanding them and trying to make sense of them, and then helping other people to see those same things. So yeah, that's what the book is really just about: understanding life and interpreting it in a way that makes a difference.
You're a single mother of three beautiful daughters, may I just add. And I wanted to just find out, how have they inspired you, particularly for this book and just in your life and with your businesses, with Fetola as well?
So that's such an interesting question, Fix. You know, that I've had some quite challenges in my life. There've definitely been dark periods in my life, and running a business is always full of challenges. One, you know, you have great highs and you have great lows, and you have times that are really tough. And what I found is that having my children there to care for and to provide for was often the thing that got me out of bed when times were tough. Because when you are a single parent and you're the sole breadwinner, there is no option to feel sorry for yourself. It's just not an option. And so having them there, and having them there to care for, really got me out of bed in the morning when times were tough. And then maybe the other thing I wanted to say, because somebody asked me the other day, what do you think is the greatest lesson that you've given, or the greatest thing that you've given your children? And I think the greatest thing that I gave my children was the decision to live an authentic life. When I divorced my husband, I had a choice to either go forward, to divorce and to go forward and live my own life, or to kind of stay in the parameters of society's expectations. And I made a decision then that the greatest gift I could give my children was to live life fully. Because if I live life fully and I'm authentically me, I give them license to do the same. And so maybe that, if there's one thing that I hope I've given my kids, I hope it's that.
You refer a lot to Fetola as in the book. I mean, I guess, and this is part of your experience. Um, I guess just tell us a little bit of what you do with Fetola, what it is about, and where the motivation came to actually start the company on its own. Because I know you were coming once you said you were coming from a dark period in your life when you started it, and what gave you that motivation to go? You know what? This is what I'm doing, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, at Fetola, it's simple really. We build businesses that last. So we work with entrepreneurs all over South Africa, in every corner of the country, in every single industry, and we help them to build businesses that are still in business in 10 years' time. And the crux of that is that we work with individuals. So what we've realized over time is that success is something that begins within you. It's not about your business plan. It's not necessarily about your finances. It's really this thing of saying how you as an entrepreneur, how motivated are you as an entrepreneur, and how well are you personally connected to the purpose of your business. And so that's very much the kind of center. That's kind of the centerpiece around which we build this very holistic program that we take our businesses through. And my motivation for starting was that I was working. It was one of the very few jobs I've had in my life, actually. And when I was working in the city, and a little disappointed with how things were turning out, and I suddenly thought, I'm put on earth to do more than this. And I asked myself this question. I said, what is it that one woman can do to make a difference? And I realized that I was quite unusual. I had all of these different business capabilities, this very broad business experience. I love business. I love helping people. And I realized that there was this opportunity to help other people to succeed through business. And that's the start of it. And that's what we do.
I think this will be more of a personal question based on what you've just said. It sounds like a social entrepreneur. You sound like an amazing social entrepreneur, but you still manage to create Fetola into this sustainable business. How do you manage to do that? I think we always sometimes don't know if we're valuing things too much because we want to help somebody and we want to ensure that their businesses are able to continue and run. How do we find that balance of, you know what, I can't hold your hand the entire way, but here's the beginning, and just seeing that potential, I guess, in somebody.
So Fix, I believe that the center of a really successful business is being in service. So being of service to people. And so, yes, so in many ways, Fetola is a social enterprise because we're here to do good in the world. But I believe that any business, commercial businesses are also social businesses if they're there to provide a service. Of course, the difference between a business and an NGO is that a business is there to make profit. And that is essential. And even as a social, and so one of the challenges as a social enterprise is that one can very easily fall to the non-profit side rather than the for-profit side. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I think it's just how have you managed to make that happen with Fetola? How have you managed to maintain it? And I know we've spoken about this before we actually joined the webinar about finances and being good with money. But how do you manage to keep it sustainable and actually go, okay, I know that I can't give too much to this enterprise, but this enterprise needs me more than this one. How do you balance that?
I think the most important thing to fix what you're touching on is one's kind of inner wealth meter. So this thing of really the deserving, the sense of deserving, and it's a very important component of business. If you have a low sense of deserving, one often then isn't able to make profit. And if you have a high sense deserving, that you're more enabled to make profit. And so I think that you cannot run a business unless you're profitable. And so the thing is that if you're there in service, it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're selling shoes or whether you're helping people to succeed in business, you have to be profitable. And so even if it's not naturally something that you're very strong with, the reality is if you're going to run a successful business, you have to make profit. And so that doesn't, in my case, it's not my primary goal at all. But I can't do what I do unless I make profit. So it is something that's always on the agenda. Yeah.
Absolutely. We also spoke about the fact that you have an MBA. Do you feel like that has contributed to Fetola? Do you think that, now that I had this MBA, I can rule the world?
You're very naughty to ask me that question. But I said to you, I'll always be honest. So I'll be honest about it. So the reality is I did my MBA quite late. I was in my 40s. I'd already had a lot of business experience, but I felt I didn't understand money. I felt really foolish when it came to financial decisions and sitting around a boardroom table. I always felt like the idiot in the room. And so I really did my MBA just to get my understanding of finance up. And so, as I said to you earlier, I said many hundreds of thousands of rand, and lots of years later, I still am pretty foolish about money, but I now have the confidence to say, I don't understand, please explain. So yes, I think the big game changer about an MBA is that it increases your confidence. And as I said earlier, success begins within. So it is all about self-confidence. So yeah, an MBA is a great idea if it ups your confidence levels, definitely.
Thanks for your honesty, Katherine. If you're just joining in, we are in the middle of the book launch with Katherine Weinberg. It's her debut book launch, and it's called Sheep Will Never Rule the World. And I just wanted to open to a section that I really,
my copy.
Oh, yes, please. Yes. Yay. And just remember, we do have a Q&A that we will get to a little bit later. So please, you're welcome to send in your questions. No problem at all. Katherine will definitely answer those for you. I just want to touch on my favorite, which is chapter 87. And what I actually wanted to say, what I love about this book is that it's to the point. I love the quote that you get, and I mean, not everyone will be able to see this, but I love the quote that you get, and then the description on what you're talking about, and it feels like I've got all the information I need about what I'm feeling right there and right there now as an entrepreneur. So I'll give you an example. An entrepreneur is someone born with optimism running through their veins, and I love that quote, because it says a lot about the kind of entrepreneur, what an entrepreneur's essence is. When you get down and ugly about life, you gotta be like, you know what? Let's make another plan. When load shedding has got you down in life, you've got to make a plan. It's one of my favorite chapters.
I think it's those kiddie toys that you knock them over and they come back up. Those little kitty, and that's basically an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur, I think the thing about entrepreneurship is you will get knocked down. It's not if, it's when. And the point is that as an entrepreneur, you hit the ground, you say, what can I learn from this? And you jump up and you jump forward. And that's kind of the exciting journey, Success is really just a series of little failings. And each time you fall, you pick up and you're stronger and you've learned something.
I think what you're talking about,
I mean, almost that, I suppose it's a thing about you. I think I said it before, you have to be slightly mad to be an entrepreneur. You have to be so relentlessly enthusiastic that you see things as an entrepreneur, you see things that maybe other people don't, because you've got this kind of positive mindset.
That is so true. And that, I feel, is for many women. And we are celebrating Women's Month in South Africa currently. And I think the valuing of ourselves as women is really, really difficult. And you touch on that a little bit as well on the book, just being able to value yourself as an entrepreneur. And that is a challenging thing. It's not an easy thing.
To value yourself as a woman? Are you saying it's not easy to value, just to value yourself?
As a woman, specifically in South Africa, and I know you spoke about this. I did a lot of research on you, Catherine. You spoke about this specifically for South Africans because we come from a tribal
Yes.
background,
Yes.
and we already have that patriarchy problem on top of that. So seeing a woman, a successful woman entrepreneur, it's a
Yeah,
phenomenon still.
Fix it's one of the things that really inspires me about South African women. So I'm really lucky because I grew up in a family where there was really no difference between girls and boys. I had to carry my heavy suitcase going to school, just like my brothers did. They never used to help me. I don't know why, guys. Why didn't you pick up my suitcase? So there was
Because
kind
you
of,
looked strong.
yeah, look strong, yeah. So it's kind of was a genderless upbringing, and it never occurred to me that life should be different because I was a woman. It just didn't occur to me. And yet, when I see the challenges that the Black women entrepreneurs that we work with, when I see the kind of cultural dilemmas that they sit with, I'm really amazed because it's hard enough to be an entrepreneur. But to be a Black woman or an Indian woman, whatever it is, somewhere where your culture is really against you being successful, I think it's huge, and it's something that I'm really just learning to appreciate and yeah, and really be mindful of. So I think in Women's Month, I just hope that women are acknowledged for the extra journey that they go through in being successful here in South Africa.
Absolutely. Well, you're leading the way with that, and never underestimate that. I think once, and that's why representation matters so much. When you see someone else do it, you go, "Hey, she's female and she did it. She runs Fetola. She's an author now. She gave me the tips to also do the same thing." So I absolutely celebrate you for that, Catherine. 100%.
To
I'm gonna
fix
go. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and I was just this skinny kid born in a little town in Zambia, and so yeah, if you can do it. I mean, I think that's the thing is we often think I can only be successful if, or I can only change the world if I'm this amazing person, but my message to everybody is that you can change the world. You are amazing. You're the only one of you in the world. And we all have much more power in us than we think that we have. And we are actually all extraordinary, every single one of us. And you have license to change the world. I give it to you, even if you couldn't give it to yourself.
Wow, there's so much mental wellness and holisticness that you mention throughout the book as well, which seems to be very important because once you are very clear about what you want and have clarity within yourself about what you want, it makes it easier to have clarity about your business and your career and everything else. That's you touch on quite a bit, and it seems to be a common theme throughout the book.
You're understanding yourself. Are you
And
saying
yes,
understanding yourself? Yeah, for
yes.
sure. I mean, yeah. There's some very simple tools that one can use for self-understanding, and really going back and kind of analyzing the different aspects of life, going through the 7 different areas of life. But really, for me, a lot of it is about pausing. I think in this crazy world, particularly now, this COVID world, good heavens, where it isn't 30 seconds between one meeting and another, we seem to be even more losing that skill of pausing and contemplating.
Mm,
And yet,
mm.
pausing to contemplate is so important to understand ourselves. And we can only really master the world if we master ourselves. So yeah, definitely spending time meditating on that, getting help on it. There are lots of tools and courses to help one understand, but it's really vital. It's the vital center of a fulfilling life, I think.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm going to head to some of the questions that we have here, and only because you touched on COVID-19. We've got an anonymous who says, Do you believe the book has been has even more relevance during this difficult time with COVID-19?
Look, I think the book is always going to be relevant. I think it's particularly relevant in the COVID times because there is so much anxiety, and there is it, and things do feel as though they're kind of running out of control. So the beauty about the book is that every single page has a wisdom, has a kind of a saying that brings you back to center. And very often, in a time of crisis, that's what we need. We just need to be brought back to center to realize that it's a crisis that will pass. Just stay centered, stay strong, and the wave of it will wash over us.
Absolutely. And really, as Catherine has been saying, you have to really go within and ensure that you are good in order to make sure that you can take care of your company, your people, your families, your everything that is around you and your relationships, which is absolutely vital during this time. Another question is, Catherine, given the difficulties of startup funding, have you ever thought of running a crowdfunding platform that can be built on the top of Fetola, perhaps? Um,
Yes, definitely. Definitely
that,
on the cards. Great idea. Please contact me. Give me you can mail me. I'd love to have a chat about that. I think that one of the problems in South Africa is too many people believe that the start of a business is a big fat business plan and R500,000. And the reality is that of all the businesses I've started, virtually every single one of them has just started with an idea in my head and a laptop. And so often the most amazing businesses cost you very little. You don't need hundreds of thousands of rand. So lean startup, particularly if you're starting, start small, start in small incremental steps. And then when you really know what you're doing, you'll have the history that'll enable you to get the kind of funding that you need to scale. But whoever that was, yes, please contact me. I'd love to have a chat about it.
that is Amos Ngonyenes. He will definitely do that. Thanks, Amos. Thanks for a great question. If you have any Q&As, any questions, you're welcome to type them in. You'll see them at the bottom right, maybe of your screen. You're welcome to do that at any stage. And then, Catherine, as you were just talking about crowdfunding, I've had a friend who also does yoga tights for kids, and she was able to get that capital from crowdfunding, and she was able to give us tips.
Yes.
That's also some of the tips that you are able to give, that you do give in the book. Finances is a huge concern, and I see there's another question here, similarly to what Amos was saying. When starting a business, one of the biggest fears I think a lot of people have is, how will you support the business financially? What advice do you have to help overcome this obstacle? Finances is a big thing.
Yeah, again, I think my answer is kind of the same,
Yeah.
that it's really important, start small. I mean, you started a business, Fix, so you know about this. Start small, because there's two reasons for that. One is that your early mistakes are not going to cost you too much. But it also means that keep your barriers to starting low. But also, if you start with a huge, like a R500,000 loan, you're going to be anxious from day one because you've got this debt hanging over you. So really, my suggestion is start small and work together. Find people to support you. I mean, in the States, one of the reasons they're so successful in the States is there's much more of this sense of being shared, having shared opportunities. So if I come up with a great idea, the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, Fix, I got this great idea. Do you want to put in 10,000 Rand? Whereas in South Africa, what we tend to do is, I've got this really good idea. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I'm going to hold it to myself. No. If I tell somebody, they're going to steal it. And then lo and behold, you don't ever do anything with it. So you need to learn to be a bit more open, get people in. And that way you will get the funding in the early stages from friends and family.
That's so funny that you say that, and we see it a lot in NGOs and all enterprises and businesses. Everybody's working in silos instead of collaborating with one another. And imagine what projects you could create with working with one
Yeah,
another.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
and Fetola once again really encourages that. Small business seem to have a Renaissance man mentality, in that a few people end up needing to be good at so many things. Is this a strength or a weakness?
So So businesses go through phases, and I always think that there's a big difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. An entrepreneur is somebody that makes everything up as they go along. It's very exciting to be an entrepreneur. You are the kind of jack of all trades. You're there, buramaka plan. You know, you're hustling. You solving problems. It's very, very exciting. But as a business grows, you need to let that go and then become a business owner. And a business owner is somebody that delegates to a team and is able to manage a team. And then through that, you can scale. And so yeah, both, in order to grow and scale a business, you need both. You need that buramaka plan, jack of all trades, and the ability to understand your real strengths and delegate.
You mentioned as well that Fetola started off in your living room. It started off in your house. And at some point, did you not get nervous like, hey, are we going to be, do we have the capacity of staff in order for us to actually take on this client or give out these services or this product? What was your freak out when that happened, when you felt like, oh gosh, this is growing. Are we capable of doing this?
No.
I love your straightforward answer.
I didn't suffer from that. The biggest problem was my kids had no home. And they said, no, you have to move the business out. And then we jumped to the next level. So no, I didn't suffer from that. I'm a believer. I'm an entrepreneur. So I believe that you say yes to opportunity and then you make it happen.
Well, for anyone that is scared of that, and this is the most amazing thing about Katherine, is that it feels like there's no fear. It's just like, you know what, let's do it. And I mean, you are a paraglider after all. So yes, we see that there's no fear. But for someone who fears that.
Yeah. No, it's not true to say there's no fear. There is fear. There is always fear. And there's always fear as an entrepreneur. There's fear in life. Every time we make a change, every time we step up, there's fear. But success is about managing that fear. And as they say, feel the fear and do it anyway. So,
fair enough. If you still have any more questions, you're welcome to send them through. If Katherine hasn't answered them already, I know that we did get a question about advice for female entrepreneurs. We kind of touched on that. Anonymous asking, if you had one piece of advice to give other female entrepreneurs, what would it be? She'd love to write it in.
So Fix, my answer would be stop thinking about yourself as a female entrepreneur. Stop limiting yourself. Just be an entrepreneur. I mean, the beauty about entrepreneurship is it's genderless. You're either a good one or a bad one. It doesn't matter what gender you are. So stop limiting yourself by thinking of yourself as a female entrepreneur. Just get up and do it.
Fantastic. Elle-Marie, you kind of asked the similar kind of question about businesswomen and the mindset. So we're getting that same rhetoric, and it's very interesting, your answer. And how do you explain that with what we still are going with, where there are not enough women in a certain space, and particularly this space, yeah.
You know, again, I have to give the entrepreneur's answer. You know, the thing is that as an entrepreneur, you go where there's a market need. Yeah. So if there's a market need, so let's just say there's not enough women in the mining sector. So if being a woman in the mining sector is going to open a market, go for it. But if it's not going to make a difference, or it's actually going to be a barrier for you, don't go into it. So it's just a market demand, you know, go where you're needed, go where you can provide a service. And if being a woman makes that better for you, go do it. Or if you just like a challenge, and you can also go do it. But basically it's about a market. I mean, the fundamental rule for business is go for the market.
Another anonymous question saying, and referring more to the book, why did you decide to include illustrations? And what made you choose the artist that you did on the book?
So the artist, Patrick Latimer, is really a world-class illustrator. What I love about him is that he is able to grasp very succinctly the ideas that are in the book. and turn them into these very simple diagrams that in themselves are interesting and entertaining. And I think it adds a tremendous value to the book, because it's both a visual book and also it has these very powerful words. So I think the two together make it a very exciting journey. And I couldn't have chosen a better illustrator, I think.
100%. And that's what, and when you say the simplicity of it, absolutely gorgeous. Just so simple and to the point, and really matches from the chapter to what the context is about as well. So he's done that really, really, really well done. Absolutely awesome. Another question is, are we expecting another book?
Yes, of course. Is there a market? There's a market? There's a book.
There we
No,
go.
I mean,
I know there was an anonymous who had asked that. There we go. There will be another book, as promised, if there is a market. That is the rule of business, according to Katherine Weinberg. I think we are open for any more questions. You're welcome to push them through. I'm just going to skim through all of them at the moment.
So I've spotted a book. I've spotted a question there that I'd like to answer first.
Go for it.
So there's an answer from Busisiwe Bebeza asking if business is all about funding. And we often, again, I think people often make the mistake that thinking that success in business is all about accessing money. And the reality is that capital comes in three forms. There are three forms of capital. One is your networks, and people don't often realize that. They just think of capital as being money. But the reality is that your networks are valuable. The people that you know, the stakeholders that you have, maybe your market networks can be really of value. The other one is your expertise. So you may be sitting with an expertise in a particular field. That's also a form of capital. And only the third one is finance. And very often you have to, if you've got network capital and you've got expertise, the money will automatically follow. But just pumping in money into a business doesn't make it successful. It has to function as a unit first. You have to, we have this great saying in Fetola, it's about the leaky bucket. If you put money into a leaky bucket, it'll just flow out. And so the thing with the business is making sure that you've closed all the holes in the bucket. And then when the money comes in, that it really can, it can really build something.
Absolutely. One of the ways that you also talk about closing all the holes in the bucket is using interns, and you did that with Fetola, and you mentioned that also in your book. It's kind of how I also started off. I think my question is, interns, were you not worried about them not having enough experience to do the job that you needed done at Fetola? And quite a controversial question. Did you pay your interns, and do you believe all interns should be paid?
So I do believe interns should be paid, and I believe interns should be paid by the business, not by a third party, because there needs to be an exchange of value. There needs to be a very clear relationship between what has been produced and what has been rewarded. So I, to be honest, I built Fetola using interns, and in fact, some of the senior managers in my company now started with me as interns. Some of the most amazing members of my staff started as interns, and so we have a very active internship program. And I think it's a fantastic symbiosis where you get a good intern, and we make them work hard. They work hard, but they learn a lot. And they very often stay with us. So I really believe in internship, but I think it needs to be at the coalface. It shouldn't just be some sort of fakery where people sit in the corner and make coffee for a year.
100%. If we're building skills, let's build them properly. It's a two-way thing. You learn from your interns, they learn, and they learn from you once again. You talk about thanking people and ensuring that you thank everybody that works with you and around you at all times. Who would you like to thank mostly for the journey that you've had, whether it's been during Fetola or before Fetola? Who would you like to thank, or even with the book, who would you like to thank?
So I think it's important. Thank you is so important. And I have a practice where I will always say thank you for a message that's been received. And so thank you is the starting point of every conversation for me, because I think it's so important to be grateful, to be genuinely grateful, because satisfaction in life is about being grateful for what you have. And so, yeah, gratitude is something that really runs through my veins and runs through the veins of all the people that work in Fetola. So I would like, thank you for asking that question, because I would particularly like to thank two people that have helped me over the years, in fact, with the weekly greeting. And the first would be Liesel Jobson. So Liesel was our media manager when I first started the greeting. And then she's then been taken, her place has been taken by Terena Rathanol. And both Liesel and Terena have been really instrumental in often helping me with the finessing of the messaging. And so I'm really grateful for them. And then, of course, Quivertree have been amazing with the book, and Patrick, and really there's a whole slew of people that have helped to put the book together in such an incredibly professional way. So really grateful to them. And then the thing is, we're all about thanks. I have to thank my team. If I sit here as a success, it's not about me, it's about the people behind me. So my team, they're all amazing, and I can never say that enough.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And it's just a reminder in our own lives and our own companies and wherever we work to make sure that we do say thank you. That's a beautiful chapter in this book as well. And then another question, and by the way, the book is like about 100 pages. It's quite a fast read, which is great. And what's nice is you can keep going back to the chapter or whatever spoke to you, the quote that spoke to you. And this is the nice thing, is that each chapter has that quote. I repeat that again because it just reminds you that I need to focus on this in my life. And it can be a quote of your week or your quote of your day, almost like an affirmation if you must.
Well, that's what I love about the book, is you can just open it for a quick inspiration, or you can read the story that's related. So, you can literally, I often just will open it to say, what's the message for the day? But so it's both for people that don't like to read and for people that do like.
I love that. One more thing that Lishi wanted to say, I hope I'm saying your name right, apologies if I'm not. What networking platforms would you recommend for entrepreneurs? That's a question that's come in.
What networking forums?
Yeah, what networking platforms or forums would you recommend for entrepreneurs?
So I think there's two parts to that question. I mean, are you talking about the most powerful probably these days are internet based? So there's a simple answer to that, is that if you really want to touch business networks, you got to be on LinkedIn. If you're talking real time, that's really about tapping into people that are in your industry. And I think that often the businesswomen's networks, sometimes the chambers are great. And if there are no networks around you that work, make one, create one. You can always be the start of something amazing.
Absolutely. There's so many platforms right now. And Katherine, like you said, it depends what your business is and what your market is. With my entertainment industry, I know that I need to be on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And from a business perspective, for Fixed Scholarship, I know I need to be on LinkedIn. So it just really depends. And I love that. Make one, create one if there's one that doesn't speak to you. That's really awesome. Thanks, Melisha, for your question. And tell us about a highlight during your journey as an entrepreneur. That's always a hard question. I think there's so many highlights in the entire journey. So I'm sorry that you're getting that question, but I would also like to know.
So the highlights. I'm just gonna ask my cat. My cat will give me an answer to that one. I'll just be honest about it, Fix. Every day. I mean, I have the most charmed life because I get to create new things. I get to inspire people. I get to work with inspiring people, There's not a day, even in a tough day that's really full of stress, there's not a day where there isn't a gem. And that's the thing with gratitude. That's the thing with gratitude, is that being grateful, being conscious of what you got, is the beginning of success. You know, when people they start by saying, I'm so disappointed in my life, everything is terrible, you know, nothing's working out, I've got such a desperate life. That's how they will live. Whereas if that same person says, let me look at what I'm grateful for, let me look at what's working and what inspires me, when you focus on that, then that will be what grows. And so I have to say that every day there's inspiration, and there's not a day goes by that I don't feel grateful for the life that I've got.
Absolutely. I love this one question, and I'm going to call it a Madonna question because Madonna knows how to reinvent herself every time. Hello, pup, by the way. A question from Anonymous. Some businesses dry up and fold, and others reinvent. How do you know when it's time to reinvent? This is why I call it the Madonna question.
So, yeah, that is a hard one, because I think it's important for sure. I'm going to actually say this. Whoever asked that question, you actually know the answer. So there's a thing that if you ask the question, you already know the answer. And so what I'm really strong on is using your intuition, using your wisdom. Yes, it's fine to kind of reach out, but the answer is always within you. So you will know when you actually should be folding, or whether you should be pushing through. And yeah, so if that person wants to contact me personally, I'm happy to take the conversation forward. But essentially, if you can ask me the question, you know the answer.
And maybe because you're asking the question, maybe it is time to reinvent yourself. But by the way, if any of your questions don't get answered right now or right here, or you have further questions for Katherine, you can go onto her Facebook. It's Katherine Weinberg on Facebook, or you can go onto Fetola and you can have a chat with her there. She will definitely be able to answer your questions from there onwards. Otherwise, KatherineWeinberg.com is also the website you can go check out. More questions coming in. How do you separate business from personal when you are in a business with a spouse? And you've had that experience before. So I think that's a great question for you.
Yeah. So I have to say there are great highs. There are fantastic things of working with a spouse. I had a lot of really, really fun times. It can be an exciting journey working together. I do think it is very, very difficult to then close the office door and have a personal life. But maybe that's not necessary. So maybe it's okay to be all business. I don't have the answer. I divorced, so maybe that's the answer. If you need to close the door, then you can move on. Yeah.
There was a nice question about leadership, which I've just lost, which I'm going to try and find. There we go. Because your book centers around leadership, do you believe that leaders are born or are taught?
It's probably a bit of both. I think, yeah, it's a bit of both. We can all learn leadership skills, because I think that is a talent that can definitely be learned and can be honed. I think the desire to lead is probably something that you are essentially born with.
There was a quote actually that you had here on one of the chapters, and I'll have to scroll through it, but you do mention leadership. If you want to find out more, go get the book from Exclusive.
I was just going to say that. Any more questions? Any more questions? There, the book looks like this, guys.
Okay, we're going to start wrapping up in a bit, so I want to take last few questions. Evan saying congratulations on the first of many books. Was the bookshelf ready pre-COVID?
Yes.
Oh, how about that? What was the process like getting the book printed during the strict lockdown regulations? Did you, well, considering that it was pre, so you didn't have that issue, did you make use of the entrepreneurs that have come through Fetola to put in your book together? We did mention it a little bit earlier on, and Katherine did mention it. If you want to elaborate, you're more than welcome to do that.
So there are stories of some of our entrepreneurs in the book. And often on a weekly basis, I'll refer to somebody that I've had a journey with. Yeah, so I think that answers that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're open to take one more question, I would say, before we actually start wrapping up. I'm going to go through. Katherine, you're welcome to also go through the questions if there's something
Yeah,
that you would like to specifically answer.
yeah.
Oh, I like this question. If you want to answer it, what wisdom from the book would you read for your 16-year-old self?
For my 16-year-old self, just be you. Just be you. It's the most powerful thing. You know, when I realized so many of us spend time trying to be somebody else. We're dissatisfied with ourselves. We want to be like Madonna, you know, or we want to be Bill Gates. And when you realize that the only thing in life that I cannot fail at is to be me. And that's where our power is. So that understanding is that your power lives with just who you are. And maybe that's the message of the book, is that is really just be you. That's where it's at.
And that's how we're going to close it, ladies and gentlemen. Katherine Weinberg, well done. This book is called Sheep Will Never Rule the World. Go get it at your nearest exclusive books. Big thank you to Exclusive Books for hosting such an amazing event, and obviously to Quivertree. You guys are great. Fetola, your staff, the team, thank you for the inspiration. The team that helped Katherine with this, we really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. I think that's what every entrepreneur or leader or aspiring leader wants to say to you, Katherine, because seeing you do it means that we also believe that we can do it, but we will do it in the best versions of ourselves. And that is the essence of Sheep Will Never Rule the World. Thank you so much for joining in. If you have any more questions, once again, you can go to Katherine Weinberg's Facebook and you can continue on the conversation over there. Have an amazing evening. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. Katherine, do you have any closing remarks?
I think maybe the last, as you said it, is that you can do it. You know, the difference between those that succeed and those that don't is action. And so really just to have the courage to take action, just understand that you don't have to be anybody else other than yourself. You can do it. You're amazing. And the world is just waiting for you to step up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, Fix. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for all the amazing questions. We'll answer those. I think probably on the blog or definitely in social media. So please stay close if anybody's got a message a question that they felt hadn't been answered. Be delighted to answer it over the course of the next few days.
Such big thanks coming in from everybody. It's actually so beautiful remarks. Thanks, Kathy. Great talk. Can't wait to see a copy. Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks, Chantal. Congrats,
thanks, Fix.
Kathy.
And when are you and I going to start a business together? I think there's something in that. Huh?
I'm being serious. When I was watching that docu last night, I was like, this is all happening for a reason.
Exactly.
So I am ready to have that conversation. Let the stars align.
Fantastic. Good. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Excellent.
Oh,
Excellent.
yay.
We've got 3 minutes before they kick us out, Fix. Let's just see, maybe we can answer one more question. Pick us a question.
Okay. Okay, cool. Hold on. Let's see. Let's look at the Q&As and see if anybody's come through in the last few minutes and seconds. Oh, there's the Q&A. Great.
How long? I'm going to say, how long did it take to write the book, and what process did you use to write? I'm going to answer that one. Sibusiso. So I'm going to say that I cheated on this one, Sibusiso, because actually I wrote it week by week for the last 3 years. So it's a compilation of a weekly blog that I created for the entrepreneurs in my network. And then what we did is we edited 100 of the best of those and put it into the book with some illustrations. But I do know, that the answer, if you're keen to write a book, the simple wisdom is just write it.
Just we keep hearing that. I'm going to do it the way that you did it,
Yeah.
blog by blog, just in a blog, and just week by week by week. Take a step. Don't look at the whole staircase. Just take a step.
Yes. One
What are your
last
thoughts?
minute.
Yeah,
I
you
think they're
can.
going
You
to cut
can.
us out halfway through the answer.
No, go for it. You grab a question there.
I don't know. Someone can't wait to get a copy. If you want a copy, go to Exclusive Books.
There we
Exclusive
go.
bookstores all over the country. Great, great. That's about it. Somebody said they finished it in one day because I just couldn't put it down. It left me feeling truly inspired. Thank you. The
Oh,
money coming
yay!
to you from M. Yes, good job.
And it really is. It is. You can. It's got, as I said, 100 and something pages. You can actually finish it very quickly and keep going back to the chapters that really hit home for you, and that you know that this is a weakness of mine and I need to focus on it. So that's the great thing about these tips and ideas. But really, the takeaway from me is continue being the best version of yourself. That's
Beautiful.
that's
Beautiful.
really
Couldn't
the
have said
biggest
it better myself.
takeaway.
Excellent. Thanks,
Oh,
Vix. And
thank you
thanks
so
everyone
much.
for joining. It's been really good fun.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And good luck with your ventures.
Great. And when are you coming paragliding, Vix?
By the way, I was gonna say, we're gonna have to do this tandem to begin with.
Oh, you don't have to do that. You just go on your own.
No, 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 Catherine. No, 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 no. I saw some people going off on, I think it was on Lion's Head, the last time I was in Cape Town, and I was like, this looks cool. And or
Oh,
Lion's Head or Signal Hill, one of the two. And I was
no,
like,
no.
this Signal Hill, that's it. And I was just like, actually, this would be great. So I've done it before, but I did it tandem. So a couple of tandems,
Okay.
and then I'll do it by myself.
No, no, it's fine. You come down. I'll get you the really best guys, and they'll take you up.
I'm a surfer. We can go surfing.
Okay. Okay. I'll watch.
That's as far as my adventure goes.
Paragliding's is not so scary.
Oh my gosh, no. It's the trust in self. I think that's what it is as well.
Trust. You see,
The
trust.
trust, the trust in self. Whereas I just
There's a
have to
whole.
watch out for jaws in the ocean when I'm surfing. So
So I'm afraid of heights, and so about 7 years ago, I thought, okay, let me do rock climbing to overcome my fear of heights, and I learned such a powerful lesson there. I learned that if you trust your equipment,
mm,
and you trust your equipment and you trust your team, which is the person belaying you, there's no limit to how high you can fly. And it's exactly the same in business, because if you trust your equipment, which are your systems and processes, and you
mm.
trust your team, which are the people that's supporting you, there's actually no limit to how big your business can grow. So
That actually makes sense. But you also strike me, and I think your daughter said this. You know when to say no. You know when this is not going to
yeah,
work, and you're okay with saying that. And we're so
uh,
busy being people pleasers all the time, and that's something that I personally struggle with. It's almost like I need a big bad boss next to me all the time to say, Fix will not do that because I can't do it myself. But I've learned as an entrepreneur, I need to be able to do that.
yeah. And I mean, when it comes to saying no, I don't do adrenaline sports because I want to die. I do adrenaline sports because I want to live, you know. So I'm not going to do scary, I'm not going to do stupid things.
This is true. Once again, trust with self. My goodness. I will, ultimately, I can see that you're really trying to get me to paraglide. I will definitely do it. I have bungee jumped. I've
Oh,
been
this is my bungee jumping is way too scary. You'll never get me to bungee jump. Really, no ways. Paragliding is much better.
Oh gosh,
Really?
I've done two blow crans jumps, and I was
Oh
just
no,
like,
you're
I'm never
crazy.
doing this again. And I did it for TV, and I was just like, this is what TV does. I'll never do this again. And I've jumped out of an airplane, which was sucked for the first free fall, but after that, it was bliss. So I think I'll enjoy the paragliding based on that initial bliss. You don't have that free fall, which is great.
No, no, it's easy. You'll find paragliding simple. If you can jump out of a plane, paragliding's a piece of old tacky.
How long does it take to actually get your license? How long have you been doing it?
You need 38 jumps, 38 flights.
Oi, okay, that's a lot.
No, it's not a lot. Not a lot.
Oh, soon. Okay. Okay, I'll take you up on that offer. I promise I'll get. Have any of your daughters done it?
Yes,
Okay.
my eldest daughter.
Then I'm in.
My
Then
eldest daughter's done it. Yeah.
if you're able to convince her, I'm definitely in. Then let's do it.
Yeah. You're going to be my daughter now. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool with
Yeah.
that. I'm cool with that. Great.
Okay. I think we're gonna log
Great.
off.
Cool. Perfect. Thanks, That
Uh,
was fun. That was
that
fun.
was really awesome, Catherine. You did an amazing
Thanks.
job. Thanks
Great.
again.
Thank you so much.